And if you know of anybody who would like to present at the February meeting, I'm going to post on LinkedIn. So if you know someone, let them know about it, and I'd appreciate it. Thanks,
Hey,
Will.
I might, depending on the date in February, we can talk, Shannon.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay, awesome. Should I go ahead and get started, Shannon?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay, all right, sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen out, and I'm going to start with the good old tried and true PowerPoint. So thank you to Shannon for working with me and being open to let me present to your group. I really appreciate that. The topic that I'm going through is something that I'm very passionate about. It's something I've spent a lot of time with, and I'm hoping some of my passion for that, my excitement, will rub off on you guys today by the time I get through that. So we'll just go through some quick intros. Like I said, it's a small group. You're welcome to either use chat, or you can just ask me questions directly if you want to unmute yourself. Otherwise, you might want to just leave your mic on mute unless you got a question, just so we don't have any extra background noise, that kind of thing. So the topic today is about column and view formatting in SharePoint, and I'm going to show you how you can do that easy. That's really what it's about, because for some of you, if you've looked at this, it's not easy, and it may be something that you've not yet been able to tap into. Just to give you a little bit of background, I am a SharePoint solutions developer, and in general terms, I work all around the Microsoft 365 platform. I work with many different businesses to help them build solutions, particularly in SharePoint. So I'm a private consultant that does that. So obviously, if you guys need any extra help or an outside consultant, I'm certainly very interested to talk to you outside of this. Additional to my consulting work, the SharePoint Smart YouTube channel, I run informational educational videos on YouTube, typically a couple times a month when I'm not busy with my other thing, which is SharePoint Dashboards, and that is a data visualization platform. And that's the focus of our presentation today. To tell you a little bit about that, it's really, I hope you'll agree, it's a simple and fun platform to let you apply formatting to your dashboards in SharePoint to make them look interesting and visually appealing. And I'm really all about continuously improving and adding to that. That's kind of my philosophy behind that. The tool itself is really designed around easy configuration. And the number one thing it's trying to solve is to allow you to not have to write any code. So it's a no-code solution, which is great because writing the JSON formatted code for these templates, it's pretty nasty for just about everybody. And this tool does that for you. This works 100% inside the SharePoint UI. You don't have to do anything external to your environment. So it's pretty easy to do that. So that's a little bit of background. Just to tell you about me personally, I'm originally from Iowa. I currently live with my family here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm very focused on SharePoint, as I mentioned, and I like classic video games, like old arcade games, that kind of thing. That's kind of a hobby. And running. I like to go out and do all kinds of different running. That's kind of how I keep myself sane after sitting at the computer all day. So that's a little bit about me. SharePoint Dashboards, this is all about lists. And in particular, it's built for SharePoint Online. So some of these templates I'm showing you will work in on-premise SharePoint, but for the most part, the way Microsoft has made their API and platform, it really works mostly for that. And you can also use this inside of Teams, for example. If you bring any of your lists over into Teams, you can use these same templates for that. All right, so we're all too familiar with this view. This is the plain vanilla SharePoint list view where you've kind of got some dark gray and a white background. And I'm sure that all of us can agree we've seen way too many screens like this in SharePoint. So nobody likes that. And this is an example of a formatted list view, which looks completely different. Obviously, you have visuals. On this particular screenshot, it's showing an asset tracking template. So there's some formatting. It's a lot more interesting to look at in terms of a dashboard. So that's an example of a formatted list view. There's lots of information out on the web. If you'd like, I'm happy to email along a copy of my template, the PowerPoint template, if you want these links. But Microsoft does provide several pages providing all of the technical documentation and information around list and column formatting. And then for those of you who are technically minded, you're more developer oriented, you can look at the GitHub examples. And then there's other things like the fabric icons. And then, of course, there's a link to my site. So there's some references for you. Okay, so the back end. This formatting happens through something called JSON, which is JavaScript Object Notation. And basically, that's a type of coding, which it's a format for code. And that's the way in which these templates have to be constructed. This is typical of what it looks like. It's hard to read, and that's on purpose. It's to make a point, and it's to help you see that this is generally not something that's a lot of fun to work with. So without any additional tools or things like this is the kind of code and updates you have to make in order to work with these type of templates. I'm sure you would agree that's not too user friendly. All right, so the question is, how do you do that stuff? Well, in order to learn how to do those things, you have to, basically have lots of practice with that syntax and the Microsoft API for this. You have to do tons of practice, and having a lot of knowledge about HTML helps in doing that, but all the same, you're still limited to Microsoft's API for this. Generally speaking, it's really just a big headache trying to work with this, and that means for many users, they're just not going to be able to take advantage of this at all. All right, so the question is, how can you get the cool looking formatted views, but not have to deal with that horrible JSON code? And that's where my tool comes in, and that's what we're going to talk about for the rest of the presentation today. Okay, so this is my website. You can go to this anytime and check it out. I hope you do. When you get there, you can look at the slideshow, which shows you examples. You can kind of check that out. But in particular, the most important page is the gallery page. And this gives you little card previews that just help you see visually different kind of templates that are available. Now, depending on what you do, there's a whole bunch of free templates here, and you don't have to sign up for anything or do anything at all. Those are always going to be available to you. And, even if you don't want to, pay for any extra tools or templates or things like that, you can use 16 of these templates. There's no cost or anything related to that. And we'll walk through using those. And that's what I recommend, actually, that you just go in there, start practicing with this, and then you'll see how it works and what you do with it, that kind of thing. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of walk through some of those. We're going to start with the one I use more than anything, which is the edit button. For you longtime SharePoint veterans, I'm sure you like the edit button, but they don't have that modern list views. Well, this is your edit button. Okay, so this is the format when you're working with this tool. When you first arrive at a template screen, you're going to see a little movie preview, which helps you understand what that template does, what it's for. You can just click on the stop preview, and then it gives you real-time preview to show you what the template looks like at that particular moment in time. There's a theme selector, and you can pick different options just that are pre-configured. Or you can adjust that however you want. So you're going to see for each of the templates a list of configuration options. And those are all just point and click type of thing. So if I want to do a different color, I can just pick from the color swatches, and you can see this preview changes real time. So what you see is what you get. So I don't need to know anything technical or any coding or anything like that. basically I can just fiddle around with these controls and buttons until it looks however my personal preference is for that. Notice also there's a icon that shows there. This uses Microsoft icons. There's a ton of them. And for each template, you'll notice there's a blue box in the lower left, and those are some notes which describe special things about that particular template. In this case, it gives you some examples of some other icons you can use. So if you don't want to use the pencil, for example, maybe you like this picture better. What you can do is just copy that. You can paste that in here, and you'll see as soon as I click out of there, the icon changed. So I really can have a lot of granular control if I want to. So if I'm very particular about how I want my button to look, if I want it to be a particular size, whatever, I have all that control, but without having to do any coding. Now, behind the scenes, what's going on is this tool is actually writing all the code which describes that, but you're not having to do anything with that at all. It's basically this tool getting that ready so you can just copy and paste, and it just works right away without you having to do anything with code. I can turn off the curved border. I can have a drop shadow or not, that type of thing. Okay, so once I get that how I want, I just hit this big yellow copy button, and then I come over to SharePoint, and I just paste it right in there. Okay, so I kind of have a sandbox that I use in my own SharePoint environment for practicing with that, and I basically just go in there and do my practice there. So this is all you have to do. You come into the column header, and this is how column formatting works. You just come in here and pick Format This Column. Okay, so I just went to the top menu, drop down, Column Settings, Format This Column. Okay, that's always available for all columns in SharePoint. And I just go to this box, the Format Action column, and I just pasted. I didn't type anything, I didn't do anything at all. I just pasted that in there and hit save, and immediately it's going to update. You can see that this is exactly what I saw over in the tool over here. So the point is you can make all your adjustments before you ever get to SharePoint, and you don't have to worry about what's going on in SharePoint. It's going to be exactly what you see in this preview tool over here. Okay, and what that does, of course, it takes me to the edit form. There's the edit form.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, please do.
So, I mean, does it matter if it's a traditional SharePoint list or if it's using the new SharePoint list like templates? Can you do that with one of the templates?
The key thing is that it needs to be modern view. Okay, so when you're in the list settings, you'll know that if I go to the advanced settings, your list settings, it should say new experience for list experience. Does that make sense?
Sorry, I muted. Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, as long as that's true, as long as you're using a modern list view, you're good to go. Whether that's from a template or whatever, it doesn't matter. It will work, and you can use these formatting templates for whatever you want to do. Okay, just to tell you a little bit more about the icons, there's a whole page this links to. It's called the Fabric Icons page, and there's 15 gazillion icons in here. Okay, so I don't know whether that's good or bad to you. I'm somebody who likes more choices, but obviously it's overwhelming too. There is a little search, you can search for it, but that button was actually telling you what to do. It said, okay, it says find icon. Let's right click on the icon, copy the friendly name, and paste it here. But the point is you have a gazillion options. You can pick whatever you want from the Fabric icons, and any of this will work. Okay, so that was the first one. That's the edit button. Okay, so this is an incremental process, right? So you're going to acclimate yourself and over time become increasingly familiar and comfortable with doing this. So like I say, it's free. You can tell the free ones because they have little green buttons on them. So that was the edit button. So we'll just go on to the next one. All right, we're going to do a date one. And this is how many days till due or overdue, that type of thing. Okay, so we'll do that one next. Okay, there's a little movie. There's always a little movie playing when you first go in here, and you just hit stop, and then it gives you the preview. So probably the first thing you want to do is check out the themes first. We say, okay, what's this? Okay, so the concept here is having color coding according to how many days and whether the date's in the future, it's today, or it's a date in the past. That's what this is about. And I can pick those colors however I want. All right, so let's do that. And then let's make the today background color something different. Let's make that really jump out. I'll make it that color. Okay. And you know, everybody has their own personal preferences when it comes to colors and look and feel and all of that. And I definitely don't claim to have special insights on that front, but that's really up to you. You can do whatever you want on that front. So I can just play with that till I get it exactly how I want it. And I just copy that and I'll come over to a date template and I just paste it in. It's really just that easy. So I come to this column, format this column, select all, paste, save. It immediately shows the way I want. So what's going on here is those dates in the future, you know, in this case, they're green. I've got a positive value, 306 days till that date. The days in the past, those are negative. They have a different color. It's how many days behind. And then the current date, you know, stands out. That's a different color too. All right, so that's phase till do, okay? So pretty simple concepts, I hope you'll agree. And again, just to remind you, in the lower left, you see a blue box. Those are notes about that particular template. It tells you what kind of field you need to use. It says use a calculated field showing the date, and then it describes what's going on. So this is the difference between today and the reference date. Okay, so that's a really simple, easy one to use also. Another one, document thumbnail. Sometimes you like to see like a little document thumbnail shot to help you see what a file looks like before you're going to go to it. In this case, I'm just, you know, I've just got a box. I can control how big that is, that type of thing. This is a slider, so I can highlight it and use my up and down arrows to change that. So that's kind of cool. And then I've got a highlight color, and if I click on it, it's actually going to open that up for me. So yeah, I'll just copy it, come over here, and we'll go to Documents Thumb, and just looks like that. So format this column, select all, paste, save. That's all you got to do. Okay, when you click on it, it actually opens the file. So in this case, they're pictures, but it can be like a PowerPoint. There's a PowerPoint presentation. So kind of nice. Like, hopefully you would agree that's better maybe than just like the dull list of files. Like, I have a little bit of a clue of what that file is just from those document thumbnails. All right. Now you also have something called view templates. So there's column templates and view templates. As you might guess, the view templates modify the whole view. And when you're scrolling through here, these are grouped into sections to help you know where those are. There's charting templates. We're coming to that in a second. So this next one we're going to do is alternating row background. That just kind of gives you a clue what it is. You've got a hover effect in different colors, that type of thing. All right, so there's kind of a funky one with like a dotted border style line. So I'll copy that, and I've got a view set up for working on that. Now in this case, instead of going to the column header, format this column, on the list view selector, there's an option in the upper right, and you can select format current view. So that's what you do for the list view formatting templates. Select that, paste, save. Okay. So there you go, just like the preview, right? And then you can do different font sizes and stuff like that. So you can see I'm really just making a couple of selections, copy, open up a menu, paste, save. You know, it's something I'm able to do literally, you know, in 10 seconds. So that's just showing you some of the, you know, easy free options. So that's a very good starting point. Hopefully, if you take nothing more away from the presentation today, you will be able to tap into that and use those free options. You know, it's beyond the scope of what I can present on our call today, but there's 16 of them. You can just browse through the list, just look for the ones with the green buttons, and you can just have at it and use those as much as you want. Now, obviously, you know, I want to provide as many capabilities as possible, and really kind of the backbone of my product and something that I care a lot about is charting, and there are a lot of charting templates. Now, I'm going to walk through and demonstrate some of those, how they work, because to me those are really interesting, especially considering SharePoint out of the box doesn't really provide charting capabilities. They have, I think, one really simple option or two very simple options with almost no configuration options whatsoever. Obviously, Microsoft has a charting platform, which is Power BI. There's some issues with that. One is Power BI is prohibitively expensive. It costs a ton of money, and you have to pay subscription fees, significant subscription fees, not only for your developers who you'll need to develop charts using Power BI, but you actually, in fact, even have to pay fees just for the people looking at the charts. So it's cost prohibitive, and also there's a steep learning curve. It's a very developer-oriented platform. You really need kind of a expert in that to be able to do that. In contrast, these charting templates are very much the opposite. It's quite inexpensive. They're easy to work with, and very accessible. So this would be, you know, something that hopefully you would find appealing. So we'll go through some examples of that. So we're going to start with columns. Yeah, let's do that.
Will, can I share something? Because this is like
Yeah.
perfect timing for me, because I was actually working on a session I'm going to do in about a month for a big conference.
Sure.
And I have some SharePoint lists, and I wanted to just show that you could visually do that. And you can, there is a drop down where you can push it to like a report in Power BI, but you can't actually like create that Power BI in a dashboard where you can bring it back in. It's not easy without using the Power BI desktop. It's very hard. So this is actually will be really good if you can just graphically show the data in the list this way. I'm super excited. Good for you.
This is like on the opposite end of the spectrum. So like in terms of the amount of steps, the money, all that, like that's a very heavy, expensive platform that's not very accessible. This is lightweight, fast, easy to work with, and inexpensive. Hopefully this would appeal to those who like the idea of having some visually attractive charting and visualization of data. So let's take a look and see how it does, okay? So I'm going to go to this is a view template. All the charting ones are a view template, and what I'm working on is columns. All right, so there's some columns, and that's what we're doing. Let's back it up a step. I'm going to remove the formatting. Okay, so this is what you need to do for this particular type of chart. There's a couple different kind of charts that are in here. One type of chart, you need all the data in one single SharePoint row, and there's literally a chart per record. The other type is like this with multiple rows. So this is pretty easy to understand, right? I've got a list of projects. I am always forever naming things after food. So if you ever see anything that I present, you'll always see apples and bananas and cherries all the time. Okay, so I just have some dummy numbers that I threw together. So I have two columns, just the title column, and in this case, they're just dummy sales figures. So that's what's expected for this. So it's important you understand what it is that is expected for the data. Hold on, I got to switch over to out of the free version. Okay, so lots of configuration options, which could be a bit overwhelming first, but I want to reassure you that it's nice and it's not a big deal. If you just fidget around with your, it's very quick and easy to understand what that is. So I can change the chart width. And every time I refresh the controls, my preview is going to refresh as well. So I can do things like, you know, tweak that a little bit, you know, make it go up and down. I can tweak that chart height. And I want to make that a little taller. Every time I do that, it's going to refresh and give me a different view. Maybe I want to have dollar signs in front of these values. You know, every little part about that, I can tweak it. Okay. All right, so let me put in, oh, I'm in the wrong thing. Hold on. I need to go to chart, columns. That's multi-row. Sorry about that. It's this one. All right, well, same concepts. Okay, so basically I can tweak this approach. You know, I'm just gonna change that to a different value. Notice I have like a little 3D effect, like see how the bars kind of jump out of the page a little bit? There's a slider for that. So again, it's just up to your personal taste how that's set. You can have it however you want. And then I can, you know, turn the grid on and off if I want to do that. Really just about anything you want. Or I may want to change the range of values. So the min and max on the chart, I may want to tweak that. Now, the preview in this case, it has some fixed values. That's by design. But when I actually copy this over and paste it in SharePoint, you'll see that it's going to look just exactly like what I set up. And then maybe I want to do, you know, a little different color background. So I just come in here. It's always just picking from different color swatches. So I can pick something a little bit darker, copy that. And then all I have to do every time is just copy paste. Now, when you first get in here, they show you this kind of configurator tool that Microsoft provides. And if you see that, just remember that you need to click on this button that says advanced mode because you're going to provide your own template that you're pasting in. Whoops, I made a little mistake. I'll show you what I did. You're supposed to give it the column names, and I didn't do that. I think the column's called, what, sales.
So we'll need to, if we're going to do something like what you're showing, we'll need to change the view to see it that way too. Like you had packed columns or something. Do we have to change the view if we're going to do like a graph?
No, you can call the view whatever you want. You just need to make sure the data is set up for this. I just made a little mistake. I forgot to put, you have to put in the SharePoint field name. So basically it's saying you need 2 fields here. So it's looking for this field called sales. So my problem is I didn't fill in that dummy value. It's going to work when I paste it in right now. Now what could happen a lot of times is when you first put it in there, it's probably close to what you want, but you're like, I want to tweak something about that, or I'll make it slightly different, or I'm not totally happy with that. And that's really not a big deal. I can just leave the screen up here and I can come back over to my configuration tool. You know, I can do, like, I could say, I want to do a curved bar on top. I don't think that 3D effect is quite looking too good. I'm going to, basically trim that down some. I needed to fix the chart title. Chart. Maybe I want the font color to be dark blue for some reason. So I can make little tweaks like that and just kind of continuously paste that over here. So the point is it's very nimble. You can make the changes really fast. You don't have to go through a lot of deliberation. And that matters because some of that stuff, like I'm talking about with Power BI, there's a lot of steps involved and a lot of deliberation. And there's kind of a cost to you doing that in terms of your time. But this is something where I can literally toggle back and forth really fast, just make little tweaks and adjustments very easily, just to make those subtle changes to make it look, the way that I want it to look. So that's a column chart. Let me show you a line chart real quick, which is kind of similar. Let's go chart, line chart. Come on, sorry. So this one's kind of cool in that you can actually adjust the line style to make it like a little bit curvy if you want. Some people like that kind of effect. You don't have to do that. I can tweak that if you just want to make like the straight jagged lines, but if you want it to have like a more rounded effect, you can do that. Notice this one's also got a gradient background going on. So it's kind of those little extra touches that give you, kind of some extra polish, if you want to do that type of thing. You can do filled if you want, if you want it filled underneath. And then I can decide whether I'm going to, show the values in the chart or not. I can toggle that on and off. So all those little subtle, fine tuning, adjustments, things you want to do to tweak it. Those are the things a lot of times that are missing when you're trying to build a chart. It shows the concept, but you can't quite tweak it and get it to look the way you want. And that's really what these controls allow you to do. And I can even do different styles of points on here if I want to. If I just want to be kind of funky with it, I could make little triangles, and I can even, change the size of those little points on the chart, all that kind of thing. So once I'm satisfied with all that kind of stuff, I just copy it over. Now I have to put in these field names. In this case, it's plotting up to 12 points. You have to put those in. So I have months here, January through December, using 3-letter prefixes. So let me go to my view for that. Okay, so this is chart. Where are you, line chart? I think I doubled it up with something else. Oh, I know where it is. Okay, there it is. There it is. Okay, so now you kind of see what's going on. So again, I go to Format Current View, paste it in here. There you go, just like I saw in the preview. We've also got different kind of concepts like pie charts and Gantt charts, so we'll take a look at that next. So if I want to do pie chart, I won't take all this into SharePoint just because I don't want to slow down too much, but you can do different effects. You see how that one's got the gradient background, and then you can decide where you want the key to show up. See that the legend can be on the bottom, the right, or the top. And I can't see the legend value, so you would change the font color in that case. So you just come in here and I could do something like that. Now I can see those in there, that type of thing. So that's the pie chart. I can make it bigger, smaller. I just move these little sliders to control the width of that. Gantt chart, that one's a bit different. You're thinking about dates in that particular type of situation. So this is showing durations of different dates. So let's look at a view like that just so you can see how that would work. Okay, there's Gantt chart. Let's get rid of the formatting so you can see the data that we were starting with. So this just it needs a start and end date, and then I have the title field. So that's what I'm working from in this case. So it asks you that you need to put in your field names. So you may have different names for those date columns, but that's what it's looking for. And I can pick from some different themes. You can decide whether you want to have, curved bars on the end. You might think that looks more cool, that kind of thing. So I just copy that in and just paste, save. There it is. And then you see like a little key. Like this is too narrow for me. So this is a perfect example where when I first paste in there, yeah, it's close to what I want, but it's not exactly. So I say, whoops, I actually want that to be wider. So I just adjust the width. I can really make it whatever I want, but I'll just make it 1500. You see the preview immediately adjusts. Just paste it back in there. And notice that the scale adjusts too. Okay, so you can see this is a 2-year time frame. So it's going to December 31st, 2021, and then to 2022. So there's a Gantt chart. All right, so let's kind of jump away from charting for a second, and I'll show you some other types of things. Inventory tracking. At the beginning of the presentation, you might remember I showed you like a little card for that. This would be asset tracking cards. It basically consolidates, everything into a card type view and then shows you kind of a featured image. So this could be a good way to highlight images along with, some piece of inventory you're tracking, that type of thing. Just like anything else, I can do little subtle tweaks to this to get it to look just the way that I want. Notice there's a little update button that I can click on in there. I can tweak the card width. I can tweak how many of these show up on particular rows, that type of thing. I'll take you to that. Okay, so this is asset cards. Notice that in no situations am I touching any code at all. I'm not making any adjustments to code. I'm not looking at anything with code. I'm doing nothing at all with code. The tool is 100% doing that for you behind the scenes. So this is what I have. I just have, some different fields, and it tells you what you need to have. This is a particular special kind of a template, and it says, okay, you need to have fields for brand, model, category, asset ID. So this has a very specific solution in mind. One thing this provides to you, if you want to download the list template, instead of manually creating those fields, you can just download the list template and create the list from that. So that's perfectly okay. This is a particular purpose template. But just like the other ones, I can just paste it in there, and then there are the cards. And it's set to show a certain number per row. There's the setting there I can control, and I can say I want 3 cards per row, that type of thing. And then notice there's a little button I can click on in the middle of the card. So just like you expect, well, you're going to want to edit those, right? You don't want to just look at them. So that opens up the edit panel. You can jump right to that. Another one I really like is mapping. You can do some cool stuff with mapping. So let's look at that one next. There's 2 types of templates for that. There's column mapping, and there's view one as well. Let's go to that. You can use either the Google Maps API, that's my personal preference, or you can use Bing Maps. There's templates for each. And you can control the size of these cards. So literally it just takes an address. So you can apply this to a view that has an address in there, and it's pretty flexible. As long as it looks like an address, it's going to pick it up. I can decide how big to make these views, how much to zoom them in, all that kind of stuff. And notice it like updating real time on the fly for me. I can go for wider cards if I want to. You do need a Google Maps API key, which is free. You can pick that up for free. It doesn't cost anything unless it was some high volume usage scenario, which I can assure you guys are never going to run into. But it's free sign up. If you say, what is that? Where do I go? There's a link to the Google Maps API. It's a piece of cake, but the point is you have to put in your own key in order to get that to work. I'll show you an example of that over here. Okay, so basically it's taking an address, the address here, I just gave it Dallas, Texas, and it just shows the card on there. And then if I click on it, it actually opens the full Google Map view for Dallas, Texas for me, okay? And then also, if for some reason you want to use the Bing Maps API for any reason instead, it's the same type of deal for that. You can get an API key for that, and it's going to do the same type of thing. There's Bing Maps. So those are kind of fun. If you want really kind of a larger map view, you can go more for the full tile. If you want something like this, where the map is really what you want to feature, you want to make it easier to see and that type of thing, then you can go for these map cards, that type of thing. And as I say, it's just holding some information about that for you. Now, if you are interested in some of those, advanced templates, they're referred to as the pro templates in here, you may be on the fence. You're saying, that looks really cool, but I'm not sure, and that type of thing. You can preview all of them. So I'll show you what I mean. You can look at them. You can control the configuration. You can see exactly what it does. You can check that out. So you know exactly what it's going to do. This is like a progress indicator thing using SVG, but you can adjust these. Do whatever you want. So the point is, if you're curious about what these pro templates do, that type of thing, you can sit here and adjust the settings. You'll see exactly what it does. You know exactly what you're going to get, so you can still go in there. So I hope, if you're at that point, you'll just kind of take the time to check that stuff out, because you can interact with it, see exactly what it's going to do, and that type of thing. So all of this is fully interactive. I will just go ahead and show you, if you do upgrade, I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Unlike Power BI, where Microsoft wants to hit you with a license fee, not only for people making the charts, but for everybody who's going to look at the chart. I think that's absurd. You only need to get a license for each user who's going to actually create these list views, column formatting. That's all you need. So for many of you, that may just be you. You may just need one license, and that's fine. It is a subscription, it is basically $350 for a year. I do have pricing for nonprofit and government, so I'm willing to give you a little bit of a break for that. If you're part of a government agency or nonprofit, just send me a note about that. If you want to have this for more than one user, then there's a cost break for that. But if you've done any pricing on any SharePoint add-ins or additional products, I think that you will find that's quite a good value compared to some of those things. There's some tools and things that you might pay for SharePoint add-ins, which cost several $1,000s per year. So that's it. You don't have to do any installations or anything in your environment. Basically, all you do is you have a login to this tool. And if you subscribe to that, you obviously always get updates. And, I'm continuously adding to that. I'll show you a little bit about how I do that real quick. When you very first log in, there is a What's New button, and it always tells you different things that have been worked on. So you always see lists of different things that are getting released. For example, just this morning, I released 2 column templates for group bars and group columns. So that kind of help draw your attention to that. That's this one right here, and that, so you're kind of aware of that. I've pretty much continuously been adding these templates since spring 2021. I'm expecting to have more than 100 templates before the end of this year, so it's going to continue to add and grow. And obviously, that's something you just have access to all that. And obviously, I offer email support if you have questions when you're using this. So that's pretty much it. I hope that looks cool to you. I hope I was able to kind of show you that it is really easy to use, and it is something where you can really make some cool looking dashboards and views in your SharePoint environment. So with that, I'll kind of stop talking for a second, open it up to questions, and I'm happy to discuss not just about SharePoint dashboards, just anything you guys want to talk to you about, list, view, or column formatting. I can talk to you about anything on that topic. You guys are too quiet and too easy. Give me some hard questions.
I suspect this is a very easy question, but once you create a view like that, can you toggle back and forth? Like, can the users see the raw data without the...
Yeah, so the way that works in SharePoint is you can always just create new views. So the default view that you always see when you create a SharePoint list, that's the all items view. Okay, so what you would do is you just make another view. So if I want a view for a chart, for example, you would just do save view as. You type in a view and that makes another view. So That's a good question. So yeah, of course, you want to have your regular standard edit view that people are used to looking at, and then you just can create another view for your chart or visual data view that you want to use. So that's how you can approach that. Good question. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, I also noticed the labels now, like you have one of your examples, you know, they've got by default in the new templates where you've got the labels that are colored, but that's all JSON as well. Is there anything else that's also JSON? I mean, I guess you've kind of enhanced a whole lot of it, but anything else that we might not realize that they've built with JSON?
Pretty much all those buttons and everything that you see in here. Like I say, a real common one that probably a lot of people like to use is the edit button. I wouldn't normally make it look like that. I would tend to want to make it look like just the standard one. But yeah, of course, that does not exist in the edit button doesn't exist for some reason in the view options, but that's one I use just all the time, all over the place, just because I find that really handy. Yeah, anything that's not the great thing. I'll show you another cool one that I really like. It's checkbox. You can actually interact with the checkboxes.
Oh.
What's cool, which kind of blow your mind, I'm sure all of you guys are familiar with that in grid view. But you can actually turn on an interactive mode. If you notice, if I click on this column, I was able to change the value of that checkbox. And what's interesting is I was not in grid view. I hovered over this, I clicked on it, it actually updated that record. So there is actually, you can also do like an inline edit setting. So that's an option in many of these templates. You can choose to turn that mode on and off.
That's really cool. That's at the item list without ever having to go into the grid view. That's cool.
Here's another one that's like that. So this is like a star rating system. So obviously it's kind of lame if I have to go in here and, you know, pick the number of stars over in the side panel. You know, if I'm just picking like a rating, I'd rather just click on it, right? Notice I have a little green when I'm hovering over that. I can just click that button and notice how the record updated. It's like an interactive edit mode. So it's really cool. Hopefully you can see that I have a lot of fun working on this stuff. I have fun building these templates, and you know, I do the I do the nasty stuff so you don't have to. That's one way you could say it. I definitely have some hair pulling moments. It's pretty crazy, the stuff that I have to put together for some of these. I'll just show you one example real quick. The group thing I was working on this morning, it's several hundred lines of formatted JSON code, and everything's got to be precisely correct, otherwise it doesn't work. So it's not always fun for me. But it's rewarding when I get it to work the way that I want it to work. So just to show you, if I hit this little arrow expander button, you know, you can see all that code has to go into the template behind the scenes, you know, to render like that group column chart. There's a lot of stuff. So that's my job. That's what I work on. I make this tool, which it's kind of humorous to me because I have a tool that writes code to give SharePoint, to tell SharePoint to write some other code, which then in turn makes it the browser interprets and makes something look pretty. So there's a lot of layers to it.
Awesome.
So that's it. I hope that you guys found that beneficial. It's a process. There's a lot of information I kind of put on you, but all that you really need to do is start with the easy stuff, which is basically just go into the gallery and just go to those free templates, especially things like the edit button, because it really is a piece of cake. You're really just picking a couple of colors. So start there, and then as you get more comfortable, you can try other templates and you know, continue to expand. And that's pretty much it. It's just kind of a toolbox, something you can have in your arsenal to make SharePoint look nice, which obviously SharePoint oftentimes does not. And Also, as I mentioned, it's a very good charting platform. It provides you really good charting capabilities that do not exist in SharePoint otherwise.
Beautiful. You would not mind sharing your PowerPoint that had all those links in it?
I'm happy to send it along. I'll just shoot that over to you right after a presentation. What I'll also do, I recorded our session. I'll send you guys a link. I'll put that up on my YouTube channel, and you guys can check that out in case you want to review any of the presentation or share it with a friend.
Okay, awesome.
Will, thank you so much. That was a fantastic presentation.
Cool.
And
Thanks.
I'm so glad you're the one doing the JSON part, because I tried to get my feet wet in that and I got nowhere.
It can be pretty gnarly, and that's not just you. I mean, I work with other SharePoint developers, and they really don't like it either. And it doesn't just automatically come easy to me as well. The only reason I generally can work with that stuff is just tons and tons and tons and tons of practice. So I literally have thousands of hours working in that particular specific thing. Like I said, I like it. It's a passion project for me, and this is kind of where I put all my chips in. So thank you guys. Thank you for your time. Hope you find it useful. And like I say, even if you don't use those other templates, I definitely hope you use those free ones that are available to you. And feel free to reach out to me at any time with questions or comments or even just suggestions on things I could do.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Take care. Hope you have a good rest of your week.
You too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.